Well, folks, if I had $1 for every time I've been asked recently, am I going to sell out of my Tesla stock? Am I going ahead and cash out of this stock? Am I going to sell any shares? I might be able to buy some more dang Tesla shares and get myself up to 751 shares. But needless to say, I'm getting a lot of questions about this. And I think, to be honest, I think it is a fair question. Should I sell some of these shares? Should I cash my position? Something like that. Whenever you have any stock skyrocket, right, which Tesla I'm now up over 2,000% on, I think it's at least worth addressing. And I want to have that discussion here today because I'm sure there's a lot of people that might hold some stocks sometimes that go up a lot. And like, how do I think about this? And I want to talk about Tesla specifically, talk about some of the numbers I have for Tesla in relation to this company. And my personal opinion, if I'm going to sell some shares here, if I'm going to not sell any shares, if I'm going to sell all my shares, and those sorts of things. So this is kind of more of an educational video, but we're also going to get into Tesla numbers. I got my little slip here, so I wrote a bunch of stuff down for you guys, and this is just me kind of talking to you guys video. So I hope you enjoy this. As always, I'll ask you in return that you smash that thumbs up button. That's it, guys. I appreciate you being here, okay? So first thing we have to consider. If I sell out of Tesla stock, $150,000+ is going bye-bye, right? Taxman would get that money. So just something to consider all the time. Like it's not like it's a small amount, right? I mean, we're talking about over $150,000 would be like bye-bye, right? Now, first off, what I want to actually address here at the top is, and I was talking with a friend a few nights ago about this when Tesla first reached over $1 trillion. He says, Jeremy, Tesla's too expensive. The stock's a ripoff, right? It's too expensive. And I hear this from a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks that don't own the stock right now. They're saying it's too expensive, right? And so think about this for a moment. What was it? Maybe a month ago, Tesla raised prices on their models. They just raised prices again on their models, literally a few days ago, $2,000 on, I believe, the 3 and the Y, if I recall, and up to $5,000 on some of the Model S and X's, right? And so right off the bat, think about this for a moment. What does Tesla do a great job of? Tesla does a great job of bringing down the cost of making these vehicles, right? They're usually able to make a vehicle much, much cheaper. Now, they could be dealing with some inflation, but maybe, just maybe, that last price increase, that was to offset any inflation in related to, anything they make that's gotten more expensive, right? Think about that for a moment, right? And so maybe this most recent price rise, maybe this is more of, hey, we got crazy demand. We can afford to go up on the cars, right? And so imagine the margins hitting this company now. Now think about this for a moment, right? What is a fair forward P for a stock like Tesla, right? And I think a fair forward P is 100, if not 150 for this stock. The reason being is if you look at Tesla, this is a stock that has, I don't know when Tesla stops growing, but it has so many years of exceptional growth in front of it. Elon's gone on record and saying he's expecting the company to grow 50% plus per year for a long time to go in the future, right? And so we know Tesla's a growth story for as far as I can see, right? And so if we just think about like what's a fair forward P, I think somewhere in the 100 to 150 range. Now, in regards to just 2022 numbers, let's just talk about the short term. We'll get to the long term, okay? In the short term, here's what I expect for Tesla. I think Tesla in 2022 is going to do anywhere from $7 billion to $12 billion of net income, meaning the bottom line, okay? If you say the company's at $1 trillion market cap, and let's say they do $10 billion of net income, you're only at 100 forward P for this stock. Now, 100 forward P for Coca-Cola stock would be a ripoff, right? Because Coca-Cola's got like hardly growth. Tesla has this ridiculous growth. Even with supply chain constraints, they're still putting up crazy numbers. So with the fact that this company's got a decade, if not multi-decades of unbelievable growth behind it, right? It is not out of the realm of possibility that a forward P of 100 to 150 is high at all. As a matter of fact, on a historical basis, that's exceptionally low. Remember, most of the time, Tesla's traded at no forward P because the company wasn't profitable, or at a 200, 300, 400 forward P, right? And then remember, this company just started to reach profitability very recently. Remember, it was just 2 or 3 years ago this company was taking massive losses quarter after quarter after quarter. And they have flipped the switch in a massive, massive way, okay? So yeah, $7 to $12 billion in 2022 for net income. I don't think is a crazy number at all. And if they're doing that, that's not putting the company at a crazy forward P whatsoever. Okay, so this whole notion about, well, Tesla at $1 trillion is way overvalued. I mean, if you think Tesla's only going to earn $2 billion of net income or $3 billion, maybe you're right. But what about the fact that Tesla just did, what was it, $1.6 billion last quarter? 2022, I think, is going to be exceptionally more profitable for this company. And remember, they are tearing it up in China. I believe it was 55,000 or something like that cars delivered in China, and I think it was in September, if I recall, right? Think about this for a moment. They might end up doing 500,000 plus cars just in China next year. Now, in my personal opinion, I think those cars in China are going to be way more profitable than actually the cars they sell in the United States of America and the cars they sell in essentially Europe. Why do I think this? Let's think about labor cost. Well, labor cost is, you can't even compare those. It's like night and day in China versus the United States or in Europe, right? So, I would say likely the cars they're producing in China are going to be much more profitable. The margins are going to be even better there. And who's to say that over time, Tesla can't produce more things out of China and import those to other countries? Maybe batteries, maybe just other things that, I don't know. There's just some food for thought there, okay? Now, this is very, very important, right? I don't have my iPhone with me right now, but in regards to the Apple iPhone, right? The iPhone is an item in which, in order to get folks like myself, and a lot of you guys probably watching this video, it's almost impossible for us to consider another smartphone, right? And so if, it is like fighting such an uphill battle for an Android to try to get us as customers over, right? It's completely unrealistic. So you got almost half the United States of America that is like, iPhone. And Android is like, man, if you're going to get people to go over to the Android side, it's near impossible, right? It is so ridiculous. In my opinion, Tesla's going to have that same exact effect when people go to buy an EV over the next 3, 5, 10 years, where there's going to be so many people that are already sold into Tesla. They understand how a Tesla works. They understand the brand behind Tesla. And when they think about getting a new car, and especially if they're thinking about getting an EV, they're going to think Tesla first and foremost, which means essentially Volkswagen and literally every other company out there, okay? I don't want to go through them all because there's a lot of car manufacturers. Every single one of those companies is going to have to go so far out of their way to try to convince people to get another EV other than Tesla that is going to be near impossible. Because it doesn't matter what Android comes out. Like, I'm getting the next iPhone. As long as Apple keeps making the iPhones better and better, I'm not switching over to the other side, right? And that goes for like half of the United States of America. The same exact thing is going to play out in regards to Tesla, in my opinion. So as long as Tesla stays ahead of these guys and keeps making great products, there's going to be, the majority of folks are already sold in that if I'm getting an EV, I'm getting a Tesla. The other auto manufacturers are going to fight over the other half of the country. And they're going to duke it out for that, right? And so you're going to have that kind of play out there, right? That is something that is so big, I don't want people to ever forget that, right? It's just very, very key. Now, let's talk about margins for a minute, right? We just talked about Tesla going up in price. Twice very recently in regards to the price of their cars. That should likely help margins. Plus, as the company scales and gets bigger and bigger, they usually bring down the cost of making these cars. That helps, right? What about the fact, and this is something that's so overlooked, right? Think about traditional automakers. What do? They sell their cars through a dealer network, right? And so that kills a lot of margin if you're an actual auto manufacturer, right? Because now the automobile dealership has to make a bunch of money off that. You got the salesperson that makes a bunch of money off that. You got the sales manager that makes a bunch of money off that. So you have all these people eating all this money, right? And your margins are getting destroyed. Versus Tesla that never discounts, right? Tesla never discounts. Heck, Elon Musk said they didn't even discount for that Hertz deal, which is 100,000 cars. That's ridiculous, right? They never discount. Then on top of that, they don't have to worry about the whole dealership model where essentially, the dealerships are taking all this money and killing our margins. This is something people like, it doesn't even quite hit folks, but you ought to understand, like, When you're talking about if the dealership's taking $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of that sale of that automobile, that is taking away so much of your margin as the auto manufacturer. It's ridiculous. Tesla doesn't have to worry about that. People go on an app or on their website, right, and order a Tesla. Boom, 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 order. No dealership network, right? And so this is a massive, massive, massive thing that people just cannot forget. It is so dang important, right? And so think about this for a moment. Now imagine, remember, these other auto manufacturers are going to try to get a lot of folks that are like, why would I ever go get another EV? Like, I'm getting a Tesla, right? So now if you're going to try to get me off of Tesla, you have to prove to me why I should get your vehicle, right? If you're Volkswagen, you have to try to prove to me why I should get a Volkswagen electric vehicle. Or if you're BMW, you have to prove to me why I should go out of my way to get a BMW electric vehicle rather than a Tesla, right? So you're going to have stronger battery packs. You're going to have a better overall car. You're going to have a great brand. You're going to have reliability. You're going to have all these other, 100 different things, right? But how are you going to get the word out to me about that? Well, you're going to have to spend a ridiculous amount of money advertising to me, right? And guess what Tesla doesn't have to do? They don't have to advertise, which means Tesla's margins are even better, right? Which means they can funnel that money into their business, into their engineers, into the company in general, and build faster and faster, while this other car company over here has to funnel a bunch of money into advertising to try to get me convinced, when I already love what I have, try to convince me that you should come buy our electric vehicle instead. Right? Tesla, meanwhile, is making all this profit and all this margin and sticking that back into the business so they can stay ahead of whatever those companies are that are advertising to me. Remember, we just talked about dealerships, right? Okay, so if you want to cut out the dealerships, right, and you don't want them taking all that margin from you, you can make that decision if you're all these other auto manufacturers, if you're Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen and BMW and Ford and GM. Make that decision, Nissan. You can make that decision to cut all those dealers out over the next 5-10 years. Well, how are you going to show off your vehicles? Now what are you going to go ahead and do? Rent a bunch of space in a mall like Tesla does all the time and has done for the last 10 plus years in a high-end mall to show off your cars? Oh boy, get ready to, pay a whole lot of money for that. And then you got to get people to go to that store. Do I really want to go to a Toyota store? It doesn't quite have the same appeal as Tesla did over the past 10 years. And it was like a cool experience. Like, I'm going to go to the Tesla store and see like the future. And these cars, they drive themselves. And it's like, oh man, they're electric vehicles and stuff, right? That was cool. That was epic. Well, it's not cool anymore, right? We're going into 2022. EVs are becoming the norm. And so now if you want to spend a bunch of money in a mall space because you're like, I want to copy what Tesla did 10 years ago, copy them. Good luck getting the ROI on that, and good luck getting a bunch of people to be like, oh, I want to go into the Volkswagen store now. Oh, I want to go into the Mercedes store now. Like, okay, you're fighting an uphill battle there. And so now, you're pretty much stuck going through the dealership network. And if you're going through the dealership network to sell your vehicles, your margins get killed. And when you're not scaling, right, you're not at scale, and you're brand new to making electric vehicles, which is a whole different way of making vehicles than the internal combustion engine, right? It's a whole different way of making vehicles. When you're not at scale and you're getting your margins destroyed because you're advertising like crazy, and essentially you're having to sell through a dealership network, which is eating your margins like crazy, how do you compete with Tesla? Like literally, like that is ridiculous to try to compete with them, right? So next thing to think about, okay, now you sold some electric vehicles. Where are folks going to charge these electric vehicles? Tesla's already has their supercharger network built out, and they're between, I would say, 5 years and 7 years ahead of everybody there. In order to just get what Tesla has, it would take you 5 to 7 years of building out a supercharger network, right? And so try to do that, and that's going to be a fortune of money to try to go ahead and do that, right? To build out the supercharger network where Tesla has its all in place. I know if I go to Los Angeles, I know exactly where I'm charging. I know exactly the stops, right? If I go to Phoenix, I know exactly my stops at where I'm supercharging. If I go to Utah, I know exactly where I'm supercharging, right? And so essentially, if you want to buy another EV, now you're like, oh man, I have to supercharge these cars if I ever want to go out of state, right? Because these battery packs, what? Tesla has a battery pack that gets 400 miles on one of their Model S's, right? No one's even remotely close to that. So if you're getting another electric vehicle from another company, you're probably going to get 300 miles of range, 200 miles of range. That's cool if you're in the city, but outside of that, good luck getting anywhere, right? So then these companies have to spend this fortune on their supercharger network. Oh my gosh, okay? Mobile service fleet. This has been something Tesla's been adding aggressively over the past 3 years or so, right? The mobile service fleet is just another reason why it is phenomenal to be a Tesla customer, right? They come, you could say you got an issue with your car, they come to your house and they fix that problem. That's massive, guys. It's such a difference versus the traditional dealership model, where if something goes wrong with your car, you got to try to get it over to the dealership. It's a pain in the butt. It wastes a ton of time out of your day. This is just another reason why it is phenomenal to own a Tesla. And remember, word of mouth is so key with Tesla. The more and more folks that own Teslas, now talk about Teslas, they go ahead and tell their friends, oh yeah, I had an issue with my Tesla. They came to my house and fixed it. I actually never even saw the guy, right? Like, oh my gosh, compared to, I had to go to the dealership, drop the car off, stay there for 3 hours, or take an Uber back home, then go back and get it. That's a hassle, right? You should only have to do that if it's like something big time, right? Like a rat eats a bunch of your electrical wires or something like that. I'm not sure if that's ever happened to somebody before. Next thing up here, think about the software in these cars, right? Who is really got the type of stuff that Tesla's got on the road today, where these cars are driving themselves around and can do 90% plus of the drive time for you? Who's got that on the road today? These other auto manufacturers just are not there, okay? And there's so many like little things that Tesla does that if I was to go to another car now, it's just like, dang, that's a pain in the butt. The fact that I can go up to my Teslas and because it recognizes my phone and the car just opens up, and if I walk away, it just locks itself. I don't have to put a key in the car, anything like that. Like, that is such a cool experience. It's like one of those things that as a Tesla owner, you take for granted, but you realize like hardly anybody is making these sorts of cars right now that just like recognizes your phone, the car just opens up. It's like a very, very small amount. Never mind cars you can get for 30 or 40K like the Model 3, right? So think about that. Think about Tesla insurance. Now, Tesla's got an interesting pilot program going on right now, right? And essentially what this is it tracks, if you want to enter it, it tracks all of your driving, the way you're driving, right? And so if you're accelerating super fast, if you're driving super close to cars, if you're slamming on your brakes and things like that, you get a driver score. And this is only if you want to enter into this beta program. And if you're driving super aggressively, right, that's going to obviously lead to more accidents. So you get a lower driver score. And if you drive super safe, you get a higher driver score. And so think about insurance, which is a business that Tesla's just starting to get into, right? The Tesla insurance business is remember, the insurance business is massive, and the insurance business is a cash cow. And the insurance business can give Tesla even another competitive advantage that these other companies aren't doing. Like, is Toyota going to launch their own insurance product, and Volkswagen and all these companies? That's a whole other situation you got to get into, right? But if you're let's say a safe driver, right? Or let's say you have autopilot and you have that engaged very often, right? You could do that and maybe pay a much cheaper price insurance-wise than if you did not do that, right? Or you're a crazy driver or something like that. So that's another thing that gives Tesla a long-term competitive advantage here, right? Remember the batteries. Remember the battery packs. Remember how long Tesla has been working on this technology, right? They've been doing this for over a decade, and a lot of these other auto manufacturers have just started taking this serious in the past 2 years. They're so late to the game. Tesla's 5 to 10 years in front of everybody. Elon Musk has done a great job, and the management team there has done a great job of keeping Tesla 5 to 10 years ahead of their competition. That was something Steve Jobs used to try to pride himself in back in the day when he was running Apple. He's like, we got to stay at least 5 years in front of everybody, wherever everybody else is at tech-wise with their software, hardware. We got to stay so many years in front of them, right? And so think about this now. The other and we aren't even talking, here's the other thing, okay? We're not even talking about Tesla's energy opportunity in terms of the massive batteries. We're not even talking about solar. We're not even talking about, AI, artificial intelligence, and how Tesla could end up being one of the top AI companies in the world over the next 5-10 years. We're not even dabbling in any of that. We're not even talking about the fact that the skateboard effect that Tesla could have, where essentially they make the bottom of the car and the battery packs and ship those to all the other auto manufacturers, right? We're not even going into any of those opportunities. And just imagine on the auto side, how big this opportunity is for this company, right? And think about how impossible it is to compete with Tesla essentially over the next 5, 10 plus years. Now you've got to come out with your own insurance business. Now you got to get your software and your self-driving technologies and all the little things that us Tesla lovers love, right? You've got to get all that to Tesla's level. You've got to get a mobile service fleet built out. Each of these are multi-billions of dollars, and you still might not even get there. Each of these is multi-billions, right? You talk about you're going to switch from the dealership network and open up a bunch of your own stores so you can sell full price. Okay, supercharger network. Each of those things right there alone are multi-billions of dollars if you want to execute this, right? Which is why it makes Tesla almost impossible to compete with, okay? So this is the way I think about Tesla. And so this is why even today, with the unbelievable gains I've gotten, which 2,000% plus, I've never gotten a gain like that in my life on any stock, right? I've had a ton of home runs over the years, triple digit gainers, but never a 2,000 plus percent gain. But I still can't pull the trigger to even sell one of these 750 shares. And the reason being is I'm just still recognizing like the margins this company's commanding, the net income this company's going to produce, and the competitive lead this company has, okay? Now, with that being said, if Tesla went on a massive, massive run again, okay, then I would consider maybe cashing half my shares or 25% of my shares and moving the money around if it went on another crazy epic run and the forward P pushed to some crazy levels, right? But outside of that, I still can't cash these shares right now because I'm looking at it and I'm looking at just 22 numbers, never mind 23, 24, 25, 2027 numbers, and I'm like, do I have to cash this position right now and take that tax hit? And so for me, I still just hold these 750 shares, and it is what it is. Like I said, if it went on another epic run, I would take some profits, but outside of that, I just can't because, man, it's just such an exciting story long term, and the growth is so insane for the stock long term that it just. It's a tough one, guys. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to smash that like button before you leave. I appreciate you guys joining me. Also, just so you know, we got a free 7-day trial going on for the private stock group right now. That should be ending soon, so make sure you take advantage of that. That will be pinned comment down there, guys. Much love as always, and have a great day. Also, let me know your opinion on Tesla in that comment section. Any in-depth opinions, would love to hear from you guys. I love when you guys leave me super in-depth comments that go through like a bull scenario for Tesla. I mean, you're going to probably cover stuff I didn't even cover in this video, guys. Much love and peace.